caught on camera running a red light or speeding, it will cost you. Welcome to this edition of Arizona's Family Investigates podcast. I'm Morgan Loew. I'm joined by my fellow investigative reporter, Amy Cutler. Amy, you've been looking into this and you found that more than 100,000 drivers get photo enforcement tickets every year. What are their options if I'm one of the people who gets one of these tickets?
Yeah, I think there really is a perception out there that you can't fight these tickets. If you get one, the city has a photo of your car, of your license plate, even of you driving. And as these cameras come to more valley cities, Phoenix and Tempe by the end of the year, we wanted to find out what your options are. Here's our story.
All right, Mr. Walton, you found not responsible.
Not responsible, meaning Christopher Walton's speeding ticket is dismissed. Back in November, the 21-year-old was cited for speeding in Mesa. A camera, part of the city's photo enforcement program, captured him doing it. There's even a photo of him driving. Was it a little nerve-wracking to be in court and have to go through this whole process?
Yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking. But I know I had to come in there with confidence.
So how did he beat the ticket? We'll get to that in a moment. First, let's talk about how the process works and what options you have if you get one of these citations.
The ability to reduce collisions, reduce injury at the collisions, and reduce the overall speed that traffic is traveling in Scottsdale.
Police tout the benefits of these programs. Arizona's Family Investigates looked into it and found that data mostly backs that up.
We want to make sure that we do have safety on our roads.
Valley cities are handing out a lot of them. In 2024, Paradise Valley issued 52,000, Mesa 39,000. In 2023, Scottsdale filed nearly 73,000.
The system will capture front and rear photos of the vehicle. From there, it undergoes several quality control and processing checks in order to show the driver of the vehicle.
When you get the ticket in the mail, you've got 4 options. First, take an online defensive driving class. The 4-hour class means you won't get any points on your license, but you can only take it once a year. Next up, you could just pay the fine, but that means you get the points on your license. Third, you could fight it, which is exactly what Christopher did. Finally, you just ignore it.
If you ignore one of these, what happens?
Well, if you ignore it, the next question becomes, are they serving you?
David Evan-Wilson, an attorney who's fought these cases for more than a decade, says state law requires that a city prove you received the ticket, hence the process.
In how many of these cases where you've gotten this citation in the mail do they follow up with the process server?
It's a significant number, and it depends also on what the jurisdiction is.
Cities have 90 days to serve you. If it doesn't happen, the ticket is dismissed. Data we obtained from Paradise Valley showed that happened about 60% of the time.
But if you're served and continue to ignore it, you could get those points on your record, and the fine would then go to collections.
It could affect your ability to re-register your car, and it would also put a default judgment of responsible onto your record.
Please state your name and date of birth.
We spent a recent morning in Mesa Civil Court to see the process firsthand.
That you committed the civil traffic offense of a red light violation.
According to the data, for every 10 tickets that reach the courthouse, half either pay up or take defensive driving, while the other half are dismissed, meaning a process server isn't sent out or the driver wins in court.
Is it worth showing up to court? Like taking time out of your day to actually go down there and play this out?
Well, it kind of depends on the scenario. My experience is it's extremely difficult to win one of these.
Back to Christopher's case. He'd already received one of these tickets, so taking the defensive driving class wasn't an option.
Do you understand what you're being accused of?
Yes.
Here he was caught going 11 miles over the speed limit. He argued that he was driving responsibly and that there were no other cars on his side of the road.
And I'm finding that the state has not met its burden of proving that it's more likely than not that you committed this violation specifically because I don't think you're driving unreasonably.
I was able to reason with the judge, get some facts going, and help me out with my case.
Christopher took the day off work and drove an hour to appear. he tells me it's worth it.
I don't want nothing to mess up my job and what I have going on.
Okay, let's start with the option a lot of people would like to do, which is ignoring it. What are the benefits of ignoring one of these tickets compared to the drawbacks?
Yeah, so the obvious benefit is that a lot of people think the ticket will just go away. And in some cases, it can. But if that process server finds you, that's where it'll cost you. And we should say in Arizona, you have to be served. They have to know that you've received the ticket. That's where the process server comes in. And if you are served, you actually have to pay for the luxury of being served, which we're told is about $80.
So that kind of, I mean, if you get pulled over by a police officer, they make you sign the ticket. And what you're doing is you're not signing and admitting that you are guilty. You're signing that you got the ticket. So if the ticket just comes in the mail, there's no proof that you actually got it. I mean, most people get their mail, but mail gets lost. So then they have to get this process server. In the story, you found that in Paradise Valley, 60% of the time, they don't serve you, and the tickets get dismissed. Do you have any idea how often that happens in other cities?
Yeah, that was a really good question, one we really tried to figure out, but other cities were not as forthcoming with that information. They kind of looped the tickets into a broader pile of tickets that are overall dismissed, and that could be dismissed for a number of reasons. Either you're not served, you go to court, you fight the ticket, and so it's really hard to determine how often that happens. We spoke with some attorneys in this area, and they tell us that it really depends city by city.
I have spoken to people in the past who have dodged these process servers, and sometimes they were persistent. They went to the house and they literally, like, listening to these people tell the story, it kind of sounded like they were on the lam, running from the law or keeping their heads down. And a couple of them ended up getting served by the process server. And I think when people talk about this, one of the interesting parts is there's really no downside to making them serve you, because you just, other than the fact that you have to pay for the server, it's not like the punishment is going to be any worse if you get served and get it. I mean, it's just still a ticket, right?
Right. Yeah. And so that is why a lot of people kind of waited out. Attorneys that we spoke with said that they don't typically serve you at work. So that's a big concern. They really just serve you at your home. So maybe it is worth it. And, a municipality has 90 days to serve you. So maybe you do kind of, check out your house and kind of, you play it out to see what happens. But then there's that added stress that if you do get served, you have to pay that additional fee.
Yeah. And I guess if you look at, like, the goal for having these photo radar tickets is to have some sort of consequence to speeding or running a red light or that kind of thing. And I guess in the grand scheme of things, the fact that these people who are trying to avoid the process servers have some impact on their life means that there is some kind of justice, even if they don't get the ticket. Maybe I'm just trying to look at the silver lining here. But if you plan to fight the ticket, so these are tickets not from a police officer who's going to show up and testify. These are tickets taken from automated cameras. Is it worth it to hire an attorney?
Yeah, and this was one that the three attorneys we spoke with were very clear about. It is typically not worth fighting these unless you have a job where you cannot have a ticket on your license, which a ticket like this often means points on your license. And so if you have a job and you can't have a ticket, then maybe it is worth fighting it out and playing it out and seeing what happens. We should mention that when we went to traffic court to watch this happen, we did highlight someone who had their case dismissed. He went to court Important to note, he was only driving 11 miles over the speed limit, so it wasn't some, huge amount. There were no other cars on the road, and he made it clear that he traveled an hour from home, took the day off work to plead his case. And so the judge was sympathetic in that case. Some of these other attorneys say that that's not the norm, and the fact that we were there, they said, and there was a camera on the judge, maybe played a role in that as well.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you never know what a jury is going to decide, but you never know what a judge is going to decide. I guess there's a chance, but I think it is telling that you spoke to 3 attorneys and they said, literally, don't hire us for this. So maybe it's better off to try to plead your case yourself if you are going to plead your case rather than spending the money on the attorney. So Phoenix and Tempe are bringing back their photo radar enforcement programs. When are those going to take effect?
Yeah, so in Tempe, they have made a lot of progress, and they're expected to go online in the next few weeks, definitely by the end of the year. They said that they've got those cameras for the most part up and in position. They've decided where they're going to go. In Phoenix, they are really focused on what the legislature is going to do, because they want to make sure that the bill, the bills that are there, they want to see before they spend any money to make sure that it is a thing moving forward.
And that leads into my next question. Look, photo radar is astronomically unpopular. It is. You talk to 10 people on the street, and probably at least 8 of them will tell you that they hate it. And statistics are certainly oftentimes made up, but I don't think I'm exaggerating there. And state lawmakers don't like it. Really, it seems like city planners like it, public safety officials like it. They say that there's a real benefit, but the popular perception is that this is an infringement of my rights, or I don't want to deal with this hassle, or we can't trust photo radar. And there are 2 bills that went through the state legislature this year. Do you know what right now is the status of those bills as we speak?
Yeah, so the first bill that would put it on the ballot has stalled at this point. The second bill that would just make it flat out illegal, that is moving through the legislature. We should mention that Senator Wendy Rogers, who has brought this bill before numerous times, it has been vetoed by the governor in the past. So we are not overly optimistic that this is actually going to pass and become a law.
Yeah, so the first bill would have it would have done an end run around the governor and sent it to voters. And then that second bill could very well pass, because it's passed every time. I mean, it's passed the committees and the votes that it's had. But yeah, the governor and Wendy Rogers don't see eye to eye very often, so it would not be a big surprise if this one gets vetoed as well, if it makes it to the governor's desk. Well, Amy, thank you. That's it for this edition of the Arizona's Family Investigates podcast. We will see you next time.